Okay, here's everything you're going to need to install the third cat delete pipe. First off, you'll need this 4mm Allen. I have it on a socket so that I can do an impact wrench or a drill and zip those off quickly. 7mm socket, and I'd also recommend a 10mm socket because I removed the metal panel, skid plate, or pre-diffuser, if you will. I think it gave me a little more room. I had to wrestle with my exhaust a bit, so it was nice to have an extra room. 15mm deep socket. You probably want a 15mm shallow one as well, a large extension, and a 16mm socket. 3/8 drive, torque wrench, pry bar, small screwdriver to clean out for the exhaust pipe gasket, 15mm open-end wrench. A light is handy, some penetrating spray to help get the exhaust nuts off, and definitely would recommend an extra exhaust gasket because mine was OEM was completely trashed. If you got the Milltek controller, you'll need some zip ties and a pair of snippers to clean that up and make that install nice and easy. Now, if you have a bit larger OEM exhaust like I had, then my cat delete pipe didn't fit snugly into the OEM exhaust flange, and the clamp only allows you to clamp it down. The factory OEM pipe clamp only allows you to suck it down so much. So I had to go and get a tailpipe expander. You want something between 2.5 and 3.5 inches. They had this one at my local AutoZone. A pair of calipers so that you can measure your stock cat pipe, because it's going to take quite a bit of expanding, and you want to make sure that you just keep cranking on it until you get to about the same diameter as the stock one. A marker to mark and measure to make sure that you've got your cat delete pipe seated fully. Crescent wrench helped use the pipe expander on the OEM flange to open it up a bit, because once you open up the cat delete pipe, it helps to wiggle it in there. Big 1/2-inch drive, a cheater bar, and finally this air impact made life a lot easier to knock off the OEM exhaust flange bolts. So hopefully you don't need these extra tools, but they will come in super handy if you need them. All right, we're going to start the GRP third cat delete install by removing these 6 4mm Allen head bolts right here along the rear diffuser. And you'll want to leave that one there and that one there so that it'll hold up the diffuser, and remove those last, and then you can reload. It'll drop down nice and easy. Next, we're going to remove the 10 7mm hex head bolts right here along the rear diffuser and this aluminum tray. Okay, after you remove all those bolts, you'll see that you have to slide this a bit forward to pop those little tabs out there, and then the rear diffuser will come loose. And you'll notice this support bar is what these little 4mm Allen wrenches are here on the bottom. You don't need to remove those 4, just the end ones for the last, to help you lower it down. All right, now the instructions say that you don't need to remove the metal diffuser or skid plate, but I found that this is going to take some extra massaging, so I went ahead and removed that, and I also did an oil change at the same time. So made it a lot easier to access, but you don't need to remove this if you don't want to. All right, now you'll want to remove these 10mm bolts. This one on the left, this one right here on the right, and this row right across the front. You'll also want to remove these 10mm bolts on each side as well. Mine are marked in green. There's 3 on the left and 3 on the right. To gain access to the last 3 10mm bolts, you just remove these plugs here. Okay, now that we have the rear diffuser panel removed, I'm going to spray some penetrating oil on these 16mm bolts. There's 3 of them, we need to loosen those. And this 15mm bolt up here. So I'm gonna pre-soak those for a second and then remove those 4 bolts. A 15mm there and 3 16mm here, one on the back side. All right, this one's being a little stubborn. I have to really give it some oomph. I didn't have a long enough socket to use my cheater bar, so I had to bring out the big gun and get out the big impact. The 15 here, let's see how it goes. Like butter. So if you have a big impact, I'd suggest using that. All right, now that we have that nut off the band there, it's welded into place so it won't move. I'm gonna go ahead and pre-soak this because I've heard that it can be a bit tricky to pull out there from the exhaust pipe flange once you get these bolts loose to wiggle it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and pre-soak that with a little bit and then start working on these 16s. All right, we're gonna work on these 16-inch nuts on the flange. Word of the wise, the bolts stick out long enough that you'll need deep sockets for these. Let's see if a 3/8 wrench can break these loose, or if we're gonna have to do the impact. It's on there pretty good. Oh, that's a knuckle buster for sure. All right, I'm gonna hit it with the impact. All right, impact time. Oh yeah. Oh, the right tool makes all the difference. The beast. All right, now how to get to the back one. We'll give it a trick. Please reach. Just long enough, maybe. Yep. Okay, now to give us some more room to get this third cat out, there's 2 15mm nuts on this exhaust hanger. We're going to remove those and push this hanger over here out of the way to the right so that we can pry this apart. Give that a go here and see. All right, let's see how cheater bar does here. Oh yeah, that's what we needed. Much better. All right, cheater bar for the win. Let's see if we can. Oh yeah, we're gonna need some pry bars. All right, it's looking good and rusty in there. So let's see what we can do in there. Oh yeah, that's good. Let's see, almost there. Okay. not out on the top. Okay, that's when you know you're out. Pops completely loose there. And then the whole exhaust moves, so that's all holding that together. Now, let's hope. Oh yeah, now we can get this out. It's wiggling, the pre-soak worked. Just a twist. Oh yeah. Look at that gasket, looks like it's almost pretty much eaten up. We'll investigate that in a second. But I'm glad I bought the extra gasket with the third cat delete. There's some room. I know you want to. Slow and steady. Back and forth. Oh yeah. Pop loose. Props to the guys who have done this on the ground, because this would be tricky. Come on now. Oh, making progress. Oh, we're almost there. Definitely pre-lubricating that helped. All right. Can't see through that one, but this new one's sure gonna be nice. Look at that old exhaust gasket right there is all eaten up. All right, I just wanted to show you my factory OEM exhaust gasket. It was just crumbling in pieces. So the old one here, it was just junk. So definitely order a new one when you order the third cat pipe delete. And then I'm gonna take a screwdriver and work around here and get all this out of here so the new gasket can seat up nicely. Okay, after a good amount of time with a little flathead screwdriver, I think I got it cleaned up real nice, the old gasket out of there. And I'm going to install the new gasket that I got from GRP. We're going to work in our new GRP pipe as far as we can. Feels. It's all the way in there, butts up really easy. Slides up here. Man, that's a lot easier than it was to get the old one out.
And this is where I realized you do not want an easy install. You want it to fit good and tight. You want to have to really work it to get it into the exhaust. So if you don't have that fit, then you need to expand your cat delete pipe.
Tag one of these with the new 15mm bolt and nut. Gasket should be sitting in there nice. we've got to flare this out just a little bit. So just in case you have a larger exhaust on your Emira, you will need to go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone. My local AutoZone had this tailpipe expander. You want it to go over 3 inches to give you enough room. So I'm gonna use this guy and flare this out. So hopefully my band clamp will tighten nice and tight. Okay, I found a quick little trick to get an extra leverage to stretch the pipe. Throw a little 2x4 underneath there, and this part of the flange will sit flat on the floor, and you can put a foot on there and crank that up, because you're going to have to expand this quite a bit, a lot more than you'd think, to get it to expand the exhaust. Alright, you're going to have to stretch this, in my case, a lot more than I was initially thinking. So I've pretty much maxed out the torque I can get with the big 1/2 inch wrench, so I've had to go to the cheater bar. I'm going to give that a try, see if I can get the desired diameter that we need. Alright, so as we expand this pipe, I've got the calipers out, and I'm measuring on the stock exhaust here is 3.05-ish, 3.04, and here on the GRP Cat Delete I'm getting closer to 2.99. so we're gonna shoot for 3 inches on the Cat Delete pipe, and when I take out this expander it's probably gonna reduce a little bit, but let's hope that 3 inches is the magic number. Alright, now that I expanded this to pretty close to 3 inches, it's definitely a really snug fit. Now it's making it even difficult to get back in. I went ahead and marked it for full depth here so I can get an idea. I'll hopefully just get past the clamp there, but will definitely take some work once you get it right. Okay, after a lot of shimmying and managing and pushing and pulling, I got this back in there and got it all torqued down, and now we've got a good tight fit. So I torqued this to 40 foot-pounds and these bolts to 40 foot-pounds. It says shoot from 35 to 45, so I figured right in the middle would do. And now we'll put these bolts back on the hangers and we'll be on to the valve controller. Okay, now we're going to install the Milltek exhaust controller, and we're going to find our exhaust valve right here. There's a little white clip. I found it was easy to take a little screwdriver here, pop that out, and then it helps to put your finger on it to put some pressure and pull on the housing itself. You don't want to pull on the wires, so kind of get it in there and should pop right out. Okay, now that was as easy as just doing a little piggyback here, plugging the original wiring into the Milltek there, and the Milltek back into the valve controller. Alright, now we're going to route the wires for the exhaust controller, and I'm just going to put this wire up over the rear diffuser mounts, and back up here inside the bumper you'll see a little plastic housing there, and I'm going to just happen to have a zip tie with one of these push plugs on the end of it that happens to fit right up here in this hole. So I'm going to zip tie it there, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, pro tip here, when you're installing this controller, there's a little extra wire here because now we've got this piggyback, and I thought I would remove, it's hard to see here, I thought I would remove the zip ties. There were 2 white original OEM zip ties here, and I'd pull the slack out and shove it back up in there, but the wiring for the reverse light is here and you really don't gain anything, so no need to mess with that. I'm probably just gonna try to maybe get this bunched up a little bit better in here and make it look better. All right, after rerouting this wire real nice and clean here above the clips, and I used this little tab sticking out there to hold the wire down here a bit, and then did a zip tie up top to hold the cables and a zip tie around the controller, and then another small zip tie around the bottom of the cords to keep everything nice and tidy. Okay, everything's tightened down, torqued down, double checked. Everything looks really good. Everything's nice and tight now. Valve controller is nice and tidy. So, ready to put the rear diffuser back on. Okay, pro tip when installing the rear diffuser. I found this little clip here, which I couldn't quite figure out how to get it on, but go ahead and take them off each side. Put the rear diffuser up there with the 3 bolts. So these 2 outside ones right here. You can, those 3, 4 in the middle you're gonna leave. You can put these 2 on the outside end to hold it into place. And then I put 1 here in the front of the diffuser to hold it. And then you come over here and you can take this clip. You can push this wheel well inside and then make sure the clip grabs both the panel, the car panel, and the side of this rear diffuser panel.